Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the #1 international couple channel on YouTube.
Ivan y Ela.
That's right.
That's us.
I always say that's right. That's right. In today's video, we are going to talk about the rules that keep a relationship going.
And they're even more valid when we talk about an international relationship. Because people in general are different, but people from different countries and different cultures
Are different squared.
are different squared. And if they're different ages as well, like we are, that's different to the third power.
Cubed.
Cubed.
Let's just say that Ella and I have to build bridges across cultures, across age, across gender. Imagine that. Because a lot of people say that communication is the most important thing in a relationship. Instead of just saying 10 imperative rules like you have to, you should, you must, we thought we could play around and do something more interesting. So we came up with 10 expressions that you could use to articulate the rules. And we'll talk a little bit more about that as we see each rule. Final note before we get started. For those of you who know our history, you would know that we've only been together, like living in the same place for about a year. So like, what do we know, right? Wah.
We know a few things that worked for us until now and keep working.
So don't take this as sage advice, you know? Take this as what one couple is doing.
It's a work in progress.
A work in progress.
Advice.
It's an experiment. If we don't work out, then you're like, oh, those rules suck. But if we do work out,
it means we were right.
the rules work. That's right. We're gonna revisit these, you know, as time goes on. So, whatever. Anyway, let's have fun.
We numbered these rules from 10 to 1.
Countdown.
So, countdown. So we're gonna start with rule number 10. No bullshit.
No bullshit.
That means always telling the truth to each other. This is important in any couple. I think it's common sense. But it's even more important in a couple who didn't actually have so much time to know each other before moving in together and getting married 3 months after moving in together. So let's say in the beginning of this journey, we made a pact to always tell the truth to each other, because any dishonesty, any hiding of things would have impacted both of us on a great level, because making us happen involved a lot of things from the get-go, like immigration, like paperwork, like
stakes were high.
Totally changing lives of both of us. So if you don't start from a base of truth to each other in something like this, I think you're doomed to fail.
Yeah, and by the way, you'll notice a lot of these rules to relationships apply to your personal life. Like, just as an individual, you should not lie to yourself. And as a society, you shouldn't be lying to each other. You know, there are some societies, ex-communists, where everybody lied all the time and it didn't exactly work out. So we want to have a relationship, surely, that's founded on truth, actuality, real life. And when Ella brought this up, I'll give her credit for rule number 10. It really was like, it was powerful, because all of a sudden, if I ever felt something, you know, like I didn't have to leave it on the back burner. It didn't have to become resentment. And that's actually one thing that Ella helped improve about me. I used to bullshit a lot. I'm a professional bullshitter. That's my job. I'm a fiction writer. But when you want to connect with someone, you know, when you want to build a relationship, like Ella was saying, definitely you should have this rule and hold each other accountable. Like, you should say no bullshit.
Yeah.
And it'll also help you maintain the relationship as you live your day-to-day lives.
A derivative idea from this is the idea of no games. Because you know how people, like in the early stages of their relationships, they just play games with each other, like, oh, I'm not gonna reply this text because I'll sound this desperate. Oh, yeah, I like this person, but I'm not gonna call them because they'll think like I like them.
There's a Sex in the City episode about this.
So yeah, in our case, because everything happened so fast and it started like from a great distance and ended up with us living in the same place, that like there was no room for playing games. It's either like it's happening or it's not happening.
So rule number 10.
No bullshit.
Rule number 9. Try this. It's very important in an international relationship to be very accepting of the differences, maybe in culinary tastes or in
just cultural preferences, cultural background.
biases that you didn't even know about. It's good to be open. So rule number 9 is about openness, and the expression we use is try this. For example, I want to make French toast my way, which is you mix the milk and the eggs together. Silly example, but I'm like, Ella's like, no, you always do the milk and the eggs separately and then you dip one after the other. And I'm like, wait, just try this. Just try it this way, let's see what happens. Silly example, but there are others. When it was 40-day Easter last year and your mom put a red egg in my hand, and just said, hold it, and she smashed her egg on top of mine and broke my egg. And if you don't know what that means, you're probably just as confused as I was when I was holding this broken egg in my hand. Like, what's going on?
But it's actually a Romanian tradition, and he was willing to try it.
Try this.
Yeah.
Rule number 9.
Number 8. Not tonight. / hey, tonight.
8.
Hey, tonight. And this is about coordination when it comes to intimacy. Reaching a common ground between each other's like different levels of drive.
Because one of you might want to be intimate every day in the morning.
The other might want to be intimate every day in the evening, or every 2 days in the evening.
Or once a
week.
month. Once a week,
Yeah.
once a month. And so rule number 8 is articulated this way. Not tonight. And okay.
It also relates to the openness rule. Because if you just give in to the other's preferences and frequency and style and way of doing things, you're gonna end up frustrated. So it's really important to talk about these things and reach
in a rule 10 number way.
Yeah.
Honestly. But it also applies to some other rules that we're gonna see. So pay attention. And remember, it's not tonight /
hey, tonight.
Rule number 7 generally has to do with establishing rituals in your relationship. Like life is crazy, it has ups and downs, but you're gonna want to have something constant throughout, and that's what rituals are so important. And the way we express this is with a simple phrase: dreams?
Yeah, like what did you dream about tonight?
Every morning, Ella is the first to get out of bed because she has to go do her breathing exercises with natural herbs and fire. That's her ritual. And I wake up a little more, and I do some,
Some journaling.
And then I walk into the kitchen, and the first Ella turns to me and is like, "Did you have any dreams?" Every morning, and it's become a ritual. It's part of the fire and the earth and the smoke and the dreams.
Yeah, of course, everyone's rituals can be different. Like, we're not saying everyone should ask their partner, "Oh, did you have any dreams last night?" But
Yeah.
This is just our example of one of our many rituals.
And why we use this word dreams is because it goes beyond just asking each other what sort of crazy fantasies manipulated themselves in our imagination overnight. It's also about what would you like to do during the day.
What are your plans for today? What are you hoping to accomplish?
So we ask each other, what are your dreams for today? Or what are your hopes for today?
Yeah.
And you can tell that we love to talk, and we're always asking each other to plan out and to verbalize, which is yet again why we are doing this sort of articulated rule system. So establish rituals.
Yeah. Another example of ritual that we have is whenever we watch a movie or a TV show in the evening, we never go to bed before we do a debrief of what we watch. So like we comment on various aspects of that movie or that episode that we watched.
Like right now we're watching Unorthodox. Just saw
On
the first
Netflix.
episode.
Yeah.
And as soon as the episode ended, you know that like continue watching thing? It gets faster every time, by the way, but it just go and it was already the next episode. I was like, whoa, pause.
Pause.
Like,
Let us debrief first.
how are you gonna play like 53 minutes of this crazy episode and then like just rush to the next one? Heck no, like debrief.
Yeah.
Mandatory.
And we're watching the second episode tonight.
What's up with the hair and what's up with the... Anyway, no spoilers.
Yeah, watch that show. It's really intriguing. We also have some food rituals. For example, on Thursdays, it's mostly beans with bacon. Or on Saturdays, it's crepe.
Or as Anouk says, delicious crepes.
Rule number 6 that we summarized through this word, why. And it refers to having a purpose, knowing what each other's purpose is. And this is something that we kind of cleared out in the beginning of our relationship by just communicating to each other what are our, goals in life. What are the things that each of us wants to accomplish? And of course, by this, we discovered that our purposes were similar in terms of the big achievements of life. Like we both knew we wanted children, we both knew we were family-centered, we wanted a family, we wanted to work, we wanted to be frugal and save money. For example, early on, we established this shared Google Drive file with all our expenses and tracking our expenses and trying to get better, each of us and both of us, at saving money. And this is one of our big purpose, like live a life in which we concentrate on the big achievements and not on the frivolous, eating out 3 times a week kind of thing. So, yeah.
As a final note to rule 6, just ask yourself why all the time. Like when you're about to have a fight, why am I gonna have this fight? Or when you're building something, why do we want to do this? It really helps you stay focused, and it helps you get over the little things and just like stick together. Just like why are we together? Why are we doing this? Like, let's go forward. Why?
Yep.
We are halfway now with rule number 5. This one's very important. It mostly deals with space and, sharing space, but you can also apply it to sort of abstract concepts and tastes and such. We call it mine, yours, and ours. Very important in life to know the things that are yours, the things that are yours, the things that are mine, and the things that are ours. It's confusing. We get it mixed up all the time. I think Khalil Gibran, the Lebanese poet, once said something like, don't have one loaf of bread and split it between you, but each of you should bring your own loaf of bread and share what you have to give. And I think that's a lot more poetic and also just a great way to live life. Here's one practical way to apply this bread theory. How do you split money? So Ella has her loaf of bread, which is her income bank account, and I have my loaf of bread, my income bank account. In addition, we have our bank account, which is a separate thing, and we both funnel money into there.
And then on that account, we have our cards that we use to pay our living expenses, our house expenses, groceries, and also in that account, we have our savings as a family. So yeah, it's ours, and then it's mine, and then it's his. And this also applies, for example, in the way we use and share the physical space in our apartment. Like, for example, in the bedroom, Ivan has his writing desk, his bookshelves, his knickknacks. And in the living room, I do my computer work, I have my sewing machine, my mannequin. So we really try to do best with what we have, to have our common space, which is the bed basically, and our personal space.
Also, chores are something that we divide. For example, I'm in charge of cleaning the restroom, and Ella's in charge of cleaning
the kitchen. He's in charge of doing laundry and taking out the trash.
And Ella does crepes.
And I do 99% of the cooking, not only crepes. Okay. And we got to rule number 4, which we named WTF. And it could be translated by pay attention. Pay attention to the other person's needs, feelings, mood, things that they're going through.
We saw a divorce lawyer give advice on how couples can stay together. Ironic, but it makes sense if you think about it. He said the number one thing that couples should do is pay attention to each other. He said that his clients could always trace back the first fissure in the couple to when the other person didn't notice them. So for example, I think in the example that the lawyer gives, there's this couple who the husband always used to buy the wife her favorite tea, and she never asked for it, you know. He just knew that was her favorite tea, and he always bought a box of it. And then years and years and years, and children and houses later, they were going through a horrible divorce, and this divorce lawyer asked her, so like, when did you know that this relationship was broken? Like, can you look back? And she said, you know what? It was when he stopped buying me the tea. That's when you know, he just stopped caring.
Yeah.
And how we do this is we have our own little things that we don't ask for each other, and I pay attention. Like, wow, Ella always brings me a black tea in the morning to my desk when I'm writing, you know.
Yeah. Ivan, on the other hand, always knows what brand of instant coffee to buy me or what brand of fizzy wine to buy me. And since now we're doing groceries alternatively, so not together because of social distancing and quarantine and stuff, I always know that he will know what brands of grocery products to buy.
I also always close the window and turn off the lights at night, and Ella always pays attention to that.
Yes, I do.
So, ask yourself and ask your partner, WTF? Like, what is this? And point out things that you notice and talk about them. It kind of relates to rule number 10, but it's also a matter of just gratitude and just being thankful. Like, wow, Ella did that for me, you know, or wow, Ivan did that for me.
Yeah. Or, for example, another example of paying attention would be pay attention to the mood of the other person.
And ask them, WTF? What's the matter?
Like, what's this face? What upsets you? Like, for example, you come home from work. I remember another ritual back when we were going to our respective offices, which is not happening lately. Yeah. Anyway, we were asking each other when we got home, like, yo, how was your day? What happened? I see you have a happy face. I see you have a long face. Was it a long, stressful day?
If Ella walked home, you know, and I heard a big, oh, I could pay attention and be like, WTF, what's going on, you know?
Yeah.
Or if I walk into the kitchen and I hear, I'm like, what? WTF? What's going on?
One last thing that we want to state here in the paying attention chapter is never go to sleep while still upset with each other. You know how in most couples, fights actually happen at night just before going to sleep? If you do go to sleep upset, you will notice that you start the next day with a grudge. You don't like your partner that much. You don't like the prospect of that day that much. So yeah, it's just better to solve any conflicts and differences before you go to sleep.
And how you do that is by noticing how your partner goes to sleep. If there's some sort of built-up tension.
Yeah.
And like, no, I don't want to talk about it. Don't turn a blind eye. Like, don't ignore it.
Talk about it.
And it ties in with rule number 10 about like being honest and
with everything else.
Yeah. So, rule number 3, fine. But, and this has to do with negotiation. You know, like you'll give somebody what they want, fine. But, and we could tell a lot of deep stories about negotiation, but we'll give you a silly one.
Normally, I cook because I like to cook and I don't like to do dishes. But sometimes, in cases of force majeure, Ivan has to cook. So the negotiation is, of course, I do dishes.
Fine, I'll cook.
But you do dishes. So yeah, it's just a silly example.
Yeah.
Rule number 2, please. It's about asking and doing favors for each other.
Te rogo.
Te rogo, please, por favor.
S'il te plaît.
S'il te plaît.
You gotta ask favors of each other and to make a relationship successful, because you're gonna want to do things and she's gonna want to do things and you're gonna want her to do things and you have no reason to ask except that you really want to. And so just consider it like debt building. Like, I'll ask for favors and then I just will owe Ella something later, you know?
Yeah.
And fun fact, the word honor has its roots in the word debt. So when you have a lot of honor, it's because you have a lot of debt and you will pay it back. Like you hold up to it.
To your country, to your family.
So don't be afraid to ask for things. Just say.
Also,
please.
Yeah. Please. So don't be afraid to ask for favors. Just say please. And be ready to give back when you're being asked favors. Don't have it be like unilateral. For example, before setting up this video, I asked Ivan, would you please set up the lights? Because he's taller and because the lights are tall, and it's because, you know, it's just technical stuff that I don't like.
And it didn't have to be a negotiation. Like, I didn't have to say, fine, I'll do the lights, but you have to, because I know Ella loves it and I'll do it as a favor. Okay, I'll set up the lights.
But I am also editing the video, which is a contribution to this whole project. So it kind of balances each other, itself. Anyway.
We've reached the very end to the last rule, rule number 1. But before we say anything, we'd like to hear from you. What's your top rule? What do you do in a successful relationship?
How do you make it work?
Or what has not worked before? Like, totally put that in the comment section down below.
Yes, please, let's start a discussion.
Here it is, our rule number 1. And it has to do with drawing circles around
the couple,
aka having secrets. And we articulate this with a shh. Like, I gotta tell you something, you know? And it's always strong to have a whisper register between you and your partner.
Yeah, it's also about complicity. You don't want to share everything with the whole world at any given time.
No, you gotta have conspiracy theories between you and your wife or your husband, your partner. Like, yo, like, let's make this crazy thing, you know?
Yeah, let's make this scheme, this plan, this thing, this, you know, this project.
It's exciting, it builds trust, and also, like, it kind of keeps people out. And here's the thing, like, how ironic. We have this YouTube account, we're sharing videos, we're sharing about ourselves, like, we're kind of opening the gates. And for us, it's like it's a two-way thing. Like, we get to hear from you, we get to share about ourselves, we get to articulate the rules that we want to have for the rest of our lives. But there are some things that we're just not going to share and that we're not going to talk about. And we always have that discussion like, no, let's not have that video.
We always have like an executive meeting before filming these videos, and we agree on what to share, what not to share, what not to share just yet. So,
and it goes beyond just YouTube videos. Another thing are just like, maybe you want to have kids as a relationship. When do you tell everybody?
Let's just give one silly example of the lack of application of this principle. You've probably seen on Facebook people sharing their positive pregnancy tests. Like, this is the sheer example of thing you shouldn't do. you should keep it a secret between you and your partner.
For how long at least?
For at least like 3 months, because for at least 3 months you won't even know if that pregnancy is gonna stick. Maybe it ends in a miscarriage, which is something that happens in a lot of cases within the first 12 weeks. Like, just wait a little bit. Don't just share everything with the world like on day 1, right?
Yeah. And that's just a silly example, but also you and your partner are gonna have secrets, and you're gonna share intimate stories, and like, so true that.
Yeah. Or maybe you have a secret about yourself that you share with your partner. Of course, you wouldn't want your partner to share it with their friends or with their relatives or stuff like that. Like, there has to be some degree of complicity, and you have to know that you can trust your partner to
So when you're about
act
to say
that way.
you're about to say something deep, you're like, shh, don't tell
Yeah.
anybody this.
It's between us, we're accomplices. So yeah.
Nice, awesome.
So this was it. These were our 10 tips for a successful international
Tips.
relationship or
Rules.
relationship in general. Why not?
Communicative expressions.
We hoped you enjoyed our video. We hoped you drew something useful from it, and
We're gonna be holding up ourselves to this standard. So like, social experiment. Is it gonna last? Please, yes, please.
yes. We're almost 1
bullshit.
year into living together,
No bullshit.
and 8 months into being married.
I want to be open with you.
Yeah.
Tonight, hey, what do you think?
Yeah, and also tomorrow. Dreams, hopes.
Why?
So that was all, folks, for today. We hope you enjoyed the video. Click the like button if you did, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more international couple life content. Until next time, bye-bye.